In the United States, about 50,000 people are fired or laid off every day. Sometimes the job loss is not because of employee performance. Maybe the company downsized, restructured, or went out of business. More often than not, however, workers are let go because of their own actions, because they didn't meet their employer's expectations. Getting fired doesn't just affect your ability to pay the bills. It can have far-reaching implications for your future, creating a blemish on your resume that can complicate getting hired elsewhere and moving forward in your career. To keep your job, you need to make yourself indispensable to your company, someone your employer can count on to do the job right and on time. In this video, we'll review the 10 most common reasons people are fired. We'll also provide tips for avoiding these issues and strengthening your overall work performance. As you watch, think about your own performance at work, both past and present, and pay close attention to the issues that have posed a problem for you and what you can do to succeed on the job. Perhaps the most obvious reason people lose their jobs is because they simply don't do them as well as they could or should. They work too slowly, make costly errors, and miss deadlines. They make mistakes their coworkers and supervisors have to correct. This kind of subpar work performance reflects badly on them as the employees and on their employers as well.
Are you about done closing for the night?
Yeah, I'm almost done here.
We need to talk.
Is this about that lady complaining about her order? I don't know how I got mixed up.
That's the third customer that's complaining about the service this week. I've had to comp over $100 because you just can't get the order right. Not only does this cost money, but it severely damages the reputation of this restaurant. Your job is to make sure that the customer gets what they want. If you're unable to do that, then we may have to find someone else.
Whether it's botching a restaurant order, billing a client for the wrong amount, or giving a patient the wrong medication, errors at work can be costly. Your employer relies on you to perform your assigned work duties in an accurate and timely manner.
An employer hires a worker to do a particular task, so doing that task is very important. According to the job description, the employer wants the employee to do certain functions within a job, and when the employee fails to do that, they're actually not performing the job that they were hired for. Failing to do a job that you were hired for would make you unqualified to do the job and potentially could endanger your position at that company.
Well, if an employee doesn't do what they're assigned to do, it can affect the company in many ways, depending on what the company is, obviously. If you're on an assembly line and you don't do your part, then the overall whole is defective. If you are working in a social service agency and you don't do your part, then that means everyone else has to do more. If you're working in a kitchen and you don't do your part, then the food's won't have any salt in it because you didn't do the salt. You think putting your part is not that important, but in the overall whole of a thing, of a project or a company or wherever you're doing, it's very important, and every little part is got to be done. So not doing your part, it doesn't make a difference, just one little thing. No, it's a small part of a larger whole, and it is very important. The whole thing can come crumbling down because you didn't do your one little part. Think back on all these cars that get recalls. One person didn't put their one screw in right and causes accidents, and now the company's being sued for millions for one little screw. So doing your part is very important, even if you don't understand why it's that important.
Think about your own work performance. Is it always up to your best ability? Does it meet your employer's expectations? What steps can you take to improve your performance on the job? Another reason people are often fired is also one of the most common reasons people quit. They simply can't get along with their bosses. Not all bosses are created equal, of course, and some are better than others, but the reality is that supervisors exist to lead their employees. An employee who doesn't take instruction or follow directions or who consistently contradicts or undermines their supervisor is setting themselves up for job loss.
Hey Susan, did you get those reports filed yesterday like I asked you to?
Did I? No, because I was too busy doing the other 43 things you asked me to do yesterday, but I'll be sure to get right on it as soon as I learn how to stop time.
We all feel overwhelmed at times. Maintaining a healthy relationship with your supervisor means keeping a positive attitude about your work. It also means keeping lines of communication open, asking for help when you need it, and letting your supervisor know if you're having problems.
Hey Susan, did you get those reports filed like I asked you to yesterday?
I tried, but I'm knee-deep in payroll. Can it wait until this afternoon? I should have the rest of this cleared up by then. Or if you'd like, I can drop what I'm working on right now and file the reports.
No, that's all right. This afternoon's fine. Thanks.
The supervisor and employee relationship is extremely important because it establishes that trust for them to give you more flexibility in your work environment. It gives you the ability to know that you've always got somebody to go to and making hard decisions and going out on a limb and helping a customer or anything. When you know that you can trust and rely on your supervisor or your manager, it's going to give you that autonomy to go out and be a better employee. On the flip side, it's going to give them the confidence in you that they're going to give you some flexibility. They're going to give you some leeway in doing what you need to do a good job for them.
Think about a boss or other mentor in your life. How would you characterize your relationship? Is it positive, productive, professional? What could you do to improve it? A positive working relationship is one that's built on trust. It's no surprise that dishonesty is a big reason why people lose their jobs. Lying at work or even withholding key information can be costly. It can put your employer and your job at risk. The idea that honesty is always the best policy actually starts before you're even hired.
I think overstating your qualifications can reflect poorly on an employee. If you go into a job interview and tell your potential employer that you know how to do a certain procedure or that you know a certain law, and then you get into the job and you are unable to do it, or the employer finds out you've been doing something incorrectly, it can make you look incompetent, and you can also make your company liable for any sort of fines. In patient care, if you tell your employer that you know how to, do a wound procedure or something, and then you end up messing up the procedure, you can create harm to the patients and residents, and your employer might not trust you or may think you're dishonest, and it can definitely have a negative effect. Instead, going into an interview, if you don't know how to do something, it's probably best to say, I don't have much experience with that, but I would love to gain more experience with that. I'm a fast learner, things like that, instead of saying, oh yeah, I can totally do that, or I have experience doing that.
Acting with integrity at work also means acting in accordance with the law and company policies. Businesses lose about $50 billion each year to employee theft. Whether it's skimming from the cash drawer or pocketing a box of pens, stealing anything from your employer is grounds for immediate dismissal. If you make a mistake at work, admit to it. Don't try to cover it up. Telling your supervisor about the mistake immediately gives you both the best opportunity to correct it. Doing so will also show your boss that you can be trusted. Think about ways to act with integrity at work. Ask yourself if it's ever okay to lie or to steal from an employer. Consider the advantages of being open and honest with your supervisor and how that can have a positive impact on your job performance. Your employer counts on you to show up and do your job. Sounds simple and obvious, but you may be surprised to learn how many people struggle with just showing up. In the United States, 1 in 10 workers is absent from work each day. Operating a business is hard when there aren't enough people to run it.
Your manager needs to know that they can rely on you to show up when you're when you're supposed to show up, to meet the deadlines that you say that you're going to meet. That reliability is key. And even in some jobs, you can't open your doors unless the employee shows up. If it's a small store, if it's a small shop, if they're relying on you to open the door, that's money that's not coming into them as well.
Julie? You know it's 8:45, right?
I know, I'm sorry.
That's the 3rd time this week.
I know, gosh. But traffic was unbelievable, and there must have been an accident or something. And my cat got sick on my couch. And I'm pretty sure your clock is fast.
I'm pretty sure it's not. And you only live 10 minutes away. I can't imagine traffic is that big of a problem.
I couldn't get my garage door open. Did I mention I might be getting the flu?
Come see me in my office, please.
Occasionally, you may not be able to avoid being late or missing work. If you're sick, for example, your boss probably doesn't want you around. You won't be working to the best of your ability anyway. Most supervisors will understand the occasional absence, provided you give them as much advance notice as possible. Just remember that if you don't show up to work, your work doesn't get done, resulting in lost productivity. That, or your boss has to find someone else to do your job for you. Consider how reliable you are as an employee. Do you have a problem making it to work consistently and on time? Can you be counted on to do your job? When asked, people often cite their fellow employees as the primary reason for staying at a particular job. Our coworkers can go a long way toward making work fun and rewarding. They can also do the opposite, making work unbearable. While getting along with your supervisor is an essential part of keeping your job, getting along with your coworkers is key to being productive and successful.
Having a positive attitude is a reflection of you, your company, and your department. I always tell my employees that if we do not possess positive attitudes, then it overflows into customer service, it overflows into how you deal with your coworkers, and it also, having a positive attitude sends a message to our clients that, you know, that this company is customer service oriented and that we will do and go the extra mile for our customer.
So the front office wants these shipments out by the end of the day. Okay, they're special orders. So we're going to have to find time to squeeze them into our regular workloads.
Yeah, count me out. I've got enough on my plate already.
We're all busy, but if we chip in a little bit, we can get this knocked out quickly.
You two knock it out, and you let me know how that goes.
What's her problem today?
Today, try every day.
Let's face it, not everyone is easy to work with. Getting along with coworkers requires you to cooperate, keep communication lines open, avoid workplace gossip, find compromises when you have a difference of opinion, and acknowledge the contributions made by others. Not getting along with your coworkers will have a noticeable impact on your work environment. And once your employer finds the source of the problem, he or she will probably take steps to correct it. On the flip side, with a positive attitude, you can make all of your coworkers better, which will lead to more success for everyone. Think about your attitude at work and how it affects those around you. Do you have positive working relationships with your coworkers? If not, what steps can you take to improve those relationships? Getting along with coworkers requires respect, respecting their opinions, beliefs, and backgrounds. One sure way to get fired is to say or do something that others might find threatening or offensive. This behavior could be considered harassment, which may be cause for legal action.
Hey, check this out. Whoa, I know, right? Too bad none of the girls here look like that.
Look like what? Hi, Mike. Can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. Is everything all right?
Not really. I feel like there's something you should be aware of.
How does saying off-color jokes affect the workplace? It makes everyone feel extremely awkward. You never know the audience of people that you're around at any given time. And a lot of people will act like they think things are funny or act like they're that type of person that's going to appreciate that joke when really they don't. It creates a very awkward work environment for them, and it almost creates like a resentment towards you with them. And then they're not comfortable doing their job or being themselves and stating, you know, who they are and things that they're comfortable with and things like that. So it does. It makes it hard for them to come in, and it can just make everything very awkward.
You should be careful not only about what you say, but also about what you write in messages you send electronically, whether through email, text, or even social media. Even something you say outside of work, if heard by your employer, could come back to haunt you.
You wanted to see me?
Thanks for coming in. Do you recognize this?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. This is an email that's been forwarded around in the office. I think someone from accounting gave it to me. I think they thought it was funny.
You must have thought it was funny too, because you forwarded it to several people in the department.
Well, I didn't think it was a big deal. I mean, I didn't write it.
No, but one of your coworkers received it and didn't think it was funny at all. In fact, he was in here yesterday telling me how upsetting he found it. Frankly, I'm disappointed you thought it was appropriate to share. Are you aware of the company's policy on email and harassment? If not, we should take some time to review it now.
You may not set out to intentionally insult people or hurt their feelings, but you should always consider the effect your words and actions might have on others and what you can do to help maintain a comfortable and positive work environment. Think about the people you interact with on a daily basis. Do you always treat them with kindness and respect? Do they treat you with the same? What steps can you take to improve your relationships with coworkers to create a healthier working environment? Ever checked your personal email at work? Made phone calls to friends while on the clock? Checked your fantasy football stats or shopped online when you were supposed to be doing your job? Bringing your personal business to your place of business can be cause for dismissal, especially if it happens regularly.
You should always leave your personal business at home. That's the definition of being a professional. You do the job in a positive way and leave your personal issues at home. Talking on the phone, you don't need to be talking, unless it's an emergency, you don't need to be talking on your personal phone to your personal friends. You're being paid by the employer to do the job, not to talk to your friends, not to worry about your dog or whatever. You're here to do the job, and worry about that stuff on your lunch break or after you get home or at another place besides the job.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. I can't even believe he did that. No, I would definitely say something. Are you kidding? You don't deserve this. Oh, I gotta go. I'll call you later.
Important call?
A client had an issue with one of her products. I was helping her resolve it.
Would this happen to be the same client you talked to for 20 minutes yesterday afternoon? Talking on the phone to your friends isn't part of your job description.
Checking your personal email or catching up on the latest online gossip is an abuse of company resources. After all, your employer is not only paying you for your effort and time, he or she also pays for the technology and equipment you use to do your job. For example, according to the American Management Association, nearly a third of employers have fired workers for misusing the internet. And most of those cases involved viewing and sharing inappropriate content. Viewing sexually explicit or otherwise offensive content at work is usually cause for immediate termination. Even something as seemingly innocent as catching up on the news or the score of the game can be considered a misuse of company resources.
An employer assigns an employee company equipment, cell phones, laptops, etc. An employer is expecting that that employee would use that equipment professionally. Therefore, an employee would need to make sure that they are not downloading inappropriate things on their computers, accessing sites that are inappropriate, checking their Facebook, their Twitter account, things like that, that are not company related. So an employee would need to be sure that even in their off time that they are not misusing equipment. Just so an employee is aware, an employer can go back to search history, and history can cause an employee potentially to lose their job if equipment is misused or if inappropriate things are found on the computer or their cell phones.
Hey Bob, we just updated our system files and we saw that you downloaded several video games onto your company laptop.
It's not what you think. I only play them at home or on my lunch break, not when I'm working.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, Bob. We have very clear policy regarding computer and technology use. Nothing goes on these computers without supervisor permission. We're going to have to wipe your laptop clean.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Company-supplied items like smartphones and tablets are a newer thing. When I was young, we never had those, but they are property of the company. They are owned by the company, and they are monitored by the company. So it's very important to know what the rules are about those items. You need to know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And it's also very important to remember that anything you do on those computers or that phone or that laptop or tablet is owned by the company. It can be checked out by the company. It can be looked at by the company.
Benjamin Franklin coined the phrase, "Time is money," and his statement still holds true today. You're paid for the time that you put in, time that's valuable to your employer. How you spend that time will have a direct impact on your job performance, job security, and career success. How do you use company resources? Do you always use them as they're intended? What can you do to use company resources more responsibly? You've probably heard the phrase, "the customer is always right." And while it's not always true, it does speak to a driving force in business. Happy customers make for happy employers. Whether you're in retail or manufacturing, whether you work in healthcare or construction, someone is paying for the goods and services you provide. Keeping those customers satisfied is one of the keys to keeping your job.
Hi, I was here earlier today and I bought this jersey and I believe I bought the wrong size. I was hoping to exchange it.
Do you have a receipt?
No, I'm not exactly sure you gave me one.
So you lost the receipt?
I don't know. I just want to
You can't
exchange
exchange it without a receipt.
I understand, but I was just here this morning and you checked me out. I don't want to return it. I just want to get the same jersey in a different size.
I can't help you if you don't have a receipt.
Are you kidding me? I can't even exchange it?
Listen, lady, I'm not the one that picked out the wrong jersey size. Maybe you should look at things before you buy them.
Maybe you should go get your manager.
9 out of 10 Americans surveyed say they have stopped doing business with a company due to poor customer service. By the same token, consumers often cite excellent customer service as the reason for sticking with one company over another. Employers are always eager to know what their customers think of them, and the feedback they get can have a direct impact on your job, positive or negative.
Word of mouth travels fast. And so if I have bad customer service at a restaurant, at a shop, with a corporation, a lot of times that trickles into a conversation that you're having with friends, and then friends of friends, and all of a sudden it trickles out. So it can leave a really bad mark on any company.
Providing great customer service is an ongoing effort, and one that your employer will reward. After all, it costs 7 times as much in marketing dollars to acquire a new customer than to keep a current one. Customer service skills are easily improved. Often it's simply a matter of attention and attitude. Treat customers with respect. Be patient and listen to what they have to say, giving them your undivided attention. Make sure you understand the problem and do your best to come up with a solution. Be prompt and courteous when responding to questions and complaints, whether in person, on the phone, or through email. And of course, don't forget to smile. Think about the experiences you've had as a customer, both positive and negative. How did they impact how you felt about the business? What do you think are the keys to keeping customers satisfied? What can you do as an employee to improve your customer service skills? While many of the actions discussed previously, checking your personal email, showing up late, or having a disagreement with a coworker may only earn you a reprimand, some offenses are almost always cause for quick and often drastic action on the part of employers. One of those is drug and alcohol abuse. Studies show that workers who abuse drugs or alcohol are 2 to 3 times more likely to miss work, arrive late, and be involved in workplace accidents. Those who abuse drugs and alcohol on or off the job are far more likely to have poor performance evaluations and higher rates of termination.
An employee with a drug or alcohol problem can have multiple negative effects on a business and on the employee. If the drug and alcohol problem is outside of work, but it can cause the employee to miss a lot of work, lack of productivity. It can also, if you are doing drugs or alcohol on the job, you can create accidents, you can harm yourself, you can harm others. If you're working, again, we're in the healthcare industry, and if you are working with residents and you're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you could do a procedure wrong, it creates a lot of liability.
If you have a problem with substance abuse, seek professional help. Almost every workplace has a substance abuse policy outlining what happens if an employee is found under the influence. However, more and more employers also provide assistance for those willing to seek treatment. After all, they have invested their time and training in you. They want you healthy and fit to do your job. What impact do you think substance abuse can have on the workplace? What steps can both individuals and employers take to ensure a safe, drug and alcohol-free work environment? Everything you do on the job reflects on you as a worker and on the company you work for. Certainly, the quality of your work sets you apart, but even the way you present yourself can have an impact on your success. Believe it or not, one reason that people are often fired is because of their appearance.
Appearance is very important. Unfortunately, the first assessment a person has of any person is their appearance. It is always important that an employee presents their very best to their employer. They will want to dress appropriately, their hair needs to be properly groomed, their body in general should be properly groomed. It's important that the employee is aware of the culture of the company they're going to be working in so that they're not over or underdressed, and that they are dressed appropriately to perform the duties that they've been assigned in a particular place of employment.
Your attire should reflect the environment of your work. Some work environments are more formal than others. Be sure to ask your employer about the dress code before you even start your job. If there's no established dress code, pay attention to the employees around you, particularly those in positions above yours. How do they dress? If possible, you should dress for the job you want.
Ready for your presentation?
Absolutely.
You earned that?
Fine. Give me a minute.
Okay, I'm gonna go take a seat while you're changing. No. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
How's this?
Now we're ready.
How does your appearance reflect on you as an employee? What can you do to present yourself in a more professional manner? In today's market, job security is a precious commodity. The reasons for letting someone go are numerous, and employers seldom do it without just cause. Fortunately, you can easily avoid or correct any of these problems and become a more reliable and productive employee, someone whose job is secure because the job is done right. Being successful means more than just trying to keep the job you have now. It means learning new skills, taking on new responsibilities. It requires you to build a career, often out of several different jobs, each one hopefully more challenging and rewarding than the last. If you want long-term career success, here are a few additional steps you should take. Ask your supervisor about taking on more responsibilities. Have the courage to offer new ideas and innovations. Seek out ways to improve your skills, such as attending a seminar or webinar or joining a professional organization. Be positive about your work and your coworkers and recognize your coworkers' contributions. Track your achievements and results. Keep a portfolio of your career accomplishments. Build your network of contacts, both within and outside the organization. Treat every day as an opportunity to learn something new, to improve your skills, and to make a positive impact on the organization. And remember, one key to being successful is making the best impression possible, whether that's dressing professionally, showing up on time, helping your coworkers, or following instructions. You'll build a reputation as someone who can be counted on. By respecting others, working hard, and acting with integrity, you'll not only keep your job, you'll excel at it.